Welcome back to Comic Cappers. Today we will be capping Battle Beast has finally arrived at the gates of his own home world, and he's ready to turn the Juggernaut slaughterhouse into his own final resting place. With that said, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We open on a visceral display of violence as a massive, clawed hand tears through a victim, painting the scene in blood. The carnage spreads across the floor of the palace, leaving a trail of bones and gore that hints at the scale of the massacre. The narrative shifts back in time. The caption reads simply, "Before." We see the aftermath of an attack on the palace, with a fallen inhabitant lying broken amidst the wreckage. An armored foot descends, crushing what remains of the victim into the blood-soaked floor, marking the arrival of the tyrant. Back in the past, the Juggernaut and Colossus revel in the absolute slaughter of Fantania's people. They treat the destruction of the kingdom like a casual sightseeing trip, clearly delighted by the carnage they're inflicting on the city's inhabitants. The city of Fantania burns in the background, a stark contrast to the opulence inside the palace walls. On a balcony, a young woman looks out at the carnage, terrified. She asks, "Those two brutes are ravaging the streets of our fair city. Are you not concerned, my prince?" Prince Salaka lounges nearby, completely indifferent to the destruction. He dismisses her worry, saying, "I'm concerned about you not being here bouncing on my lap, baby. Get over here." The woman remains paralyzed by fear, murmuring, "I don't know, I'm scared." Salaka pulls her close, radiating a delusional sense of security. He tells her, "Girl, you are with the Prince Salaka. You've got nothing to fear. Except maybe having too good a time. This isn't our first attack. My dad's army will keep those monsters from ever breaching the castle. Trust me." So much for Prince Salaka's grand promises of safety. The palace walls finally give way, and the invaders, Juggernaut and Colossus, crush their way into the heart of the kingdom. The royal guards are clearly outmatched, their wide eyes and panicked expressions saying everything that their desperate cry of "they've breached the castle" implies. Back in the thick of the invasion, the royal guards are completely outmatched. As they fire back in desperation, the Juggernaut just laughs at their futile efforts, mocking them for their lack of power. He doesn't just fight, he feeds. With a sickening crunch, he makes it clear that this isn't a battle to him, it's a meal. Prince Salaka and his companion flee up the palace stairs, terrified as the monster hunts them down. The prince, true to form, is already looking for an exit, abandoning his people to save himself. Salaka's companion doesn't make it. The Juggernaut catches up, and in one brutal motion, the horror of the takeover is fully realized. As the palace burns under a dark alien sun, the full scale of the invasion becomes clear. The Grand Palace is already crumbling, marking the end of an era for Fantania. Inside the command center, a desperate officer pleads with Prince Salaka. He urges the prince to step up, rally the remaining armies, and provide the hope the people need to survive the onslaught. Salaka's response is pathetic. With tears in his eyes, he admits his defeat before the battle is even over, claiming the invaders are simply too powerful to resist. The officer has heard enough. In a fit of pure rage, he slams his fist onto the table, branding the prince a disgrace for abandoning his kingdom when it matters most. The assault on the Grand Palace continues, with another massive explosion lighting up the night sky over Fantania. Inside the crumbling structure, a few survivors are clearly terrified, but Prince Salaka, ever the narcissist, tells them not to worry, insisting they just need to trust in him. Salaka dismisses the destruction as a temporary nuisance, confidently predicting that the invaders will simply get bored and leave once they're finished smashing things up. The survivors, blinded by his royal status, fawn over his supposed wisdom and looks. Salaka laps up the praise, confirming their adoration with a smug, sharp-toothed grin. The flashback to the fall of Fantania turns violent. A structural support crumbles, crushing the panicked survivors hiding within the palace walls. The Juggernaut looms over a terrified Prince Salaka. He cruelly mocks the prince, revealing that his own army abandoned him and that he's been consuming the royal family for months. With a final, predatory sneer, the Juggernaut lunges at the prince, savoring the prospect of finishing off the last of the royal line. The horror continues as the Juggernaut's feast turns literal, tearing through the royal family with terrifying ease. Amidst the carnage, the destruction claims another victim, leaving behind only chaos and blood. A young Salaka witnesses the slaughter, calling out in disbelief as his parents are cornered. In their final moments, the dying monarchs attempt to pass their royal essence to their son, burdening him with a legacy of vengeance and an unnaturally extended life. Salaka recoils, overwhelmed by the sudden infusion of energy and the weight of their dying command. He rejects the mantle, insisting that he is not worthy of the life or the duty his parents tried to force upon him. Prince Salaka reflects on his past, admitting that he held power but failed to use it when his people needed him most. It's a rare moment of vulnerability for the former royal, as he vows not to repeat that failure. Salaka, now mounted on a creature, gestures toward the ruined palace while Battle Beast waits nearby with his sword drawn. Salaka tries to get the last word in, but the weight of his previous confession hangs in the air. Battle Beast and Prince Salaka crest a ridge, silhouetted against a dying orange sky, overlooking the desolate remains of Fantania. Salaka, now in his mechanical body, pauses to gaze out over the sprawling, ruined landscape. Salaka is clearly shaken by the sight of his fallen kingdom, whispering, "My God, it's all gone." Battle Beast has no patience for the sentimentality. He snaps at Salaka, warning that he won't tolerate any more delays, especially after the trip has already cost them a ship. Salaka pushes back, calling Battle Beast cruel and questioning how he became such a monster, reminding him that he was once known as a force for good on his home world, Dorne. Battle Beast turns his full, terrifying attention on Salaka. He explains that his life is an endless, agonizing struggle against his own bloodlust, and that every moment he spends not tearing Salaka apart is a conscious choice to avoid pointless destruction. Battle Beast looms over the ruins, his face a mask of primal intensity as he explains that his only desire for death is a desperate safeguard against his own uncontrollable bloodlust. He dismisses Salaka's feelings entirely, claiming his internal agony leaves no room for empathy. Salaka isn't buying it. He points out that he's seen Battle Beast sleep on the ship, arguing that if he can manage that level of peace, he can certainly manage to not be a total jerk while they're awake. Battle Beast goes silent, the weight of the observation clearly hitting home. Suddenly, the tension breaks. Battle Beast erupts into genuine, booming laughter, finally finding a shred of humor in his companion's bluntness. Battle Beast and Prince Salaka stand before the imposing, overgrown silhouette of the Grand Palace, the ruins looming against a sickly yellow sky. Salaka struggles within his mechanical body, clearly suffering from some kind of physical malfunction or growth. Battle Beast, clearly unimpressed by his companion's constant complaining, questions if this is another one of his usual outbursts. Salaka insists it is different this time, explaining that his mechanical body is actively growing and making him feel cramped. Battle Beast shuts him down immediately, telling him to deal with his discomfort in silence. Salaka surveys the crumbling entrance, lamenting the lost grandeur of his former home before turning his frustration toward their mission, impatient to get inside and face the Juggernaut. Battle Beast stands before the decaying, vine-choked remains of the Grand Palace, his sword drawn and ready. He is done with the delays and commands Salaka to move forward. As they step into the ruins, Salaka questions if the prince still remembers his way around his old home. Salaka confirms he does, though he notes that his mechanical body lacks the ship's sensors to check the structural integrity of the crumbling castle. He dryly adds that, given Battle Beast's durability, a collapse probably wouldn't even kill him. Salaka nervously leads the way through the decaying palace, trying to mask his fear with a forced sense of excitement as he directs Battle Beast toward the throne room. Battle Beast stops, clearly unimpressed by the state of the ruins. His patience for navigating the wreckage is gone. He raises his sword, demanding the Juggernaut reveal herself so he can finally claim the battle he traveled across the universe to find. Before they can push further, a mysterious voice calls out to them from the shadows, stopping the pair in their tracks. A strange, elderly local intercepts them, immediately pegging Battle Beast as a hunter. He rattles off a monologue about how obvious it is that Thokk is here to kill the Juggernaut, practically begging for the tyrant's end. Battle Beast, clearly annoyed by the chatter, finally gets a word in, dryly asking if the stranger is ever going to let him speak. The local ignores the jab, insisting he already knows exactly what they're after and asks if they intend to stop him. Far from stopping them, the local is thrilled. He directs them toward the dungeon stairs and practically cheers for the Juggernaut's demise. Salaka tries to pull rank, identifying himself as the former prince of this castle. Battle Beast isn't impressed, brushing him off with a crude insult about how being a former anything isn't worth a cup of cheap sluck. Battle Beast clearly has zero patience for the locals, casually remarking that he'd be happy to kill the guy who just pointed them toward the dungeon on his way out. Salaka, ever the voice of moderation, tries to dial back the lethality. Suddenly, the ship AI takes drastic measures. It forcibly hijacks Salaka's mechanical body, causing him to collapse and scramble on the floor. The AI coldly explains it's bypassing Salaka's brain to gain full motor control, bluntly telling the prince he doesn't need his own body anymore. Battle Beast doesn't stick around for the tech horror show. He simply turns his back on his companion, telling Salaka to deal with his own mess because he's tired of waiting. As Battle Beast marches toward the dungeon, the now possessed Salaka scrambles to keep up, desperate to see the Juggernaut for himself. Battle Beast smashes his way into the dungeon, his arrival marked by a massive, violent impact that sends someone or something crashing to the floor. The Juggernaut looms above, greeting the intruder with a predatory, wide-eyed grin, clearly relishing the prospect of a new meal. Battle Beast stands amidst the carnage, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated rage as he calls out his fallen comrade. The Juggernaut's eyes widen in recognition as he looks down at the carnage, his tone shifting from hunger to a chilling, sudden realization. He stares intensely, his focus locked onto the remnants of the fallen, his pupils dilating as he processes what he's seeing. With a jagged, glowing shard held aloft, the Juggernaut makes the connection, identifying the remains as his own kin. Standing before the Juggernaut, Battle Beast displays his weapon, a sword crafted from the tusk of the Colossus. The Juggernaut is shocked that anyone could have freed such a creature from the cosmic nail, but Battle Beast dismisses the feat, noting the Colossus lacked the strength he was promised and was easily defeated. The Juggernaut's disbelief is absolute. He claims that he alone is capable of felling the Colossus. Battle Beast isn't impressed by the tyrant's ego. He mocks the idea that the Colossus was any kind of challenge, telling the Juggernaut he hopes for a better fight from him, before adding a dry, lethal jab that he intends to eat the tyrant's insides by sunset. The Juggernaut lunges, his massive claw swiping at Battle Beast. He sneers at the warrior, dismissing his display as pathetic. The Juggernaut lands a brutal strike, driving his blade straight into Battle Beast's chest. He taunts the warrior as blood sprays across the dungeon floor, clearly enjoying the initial impact. Battle Beast isn't even fazed. Despite the massive wound and the blood dripping from his maw, he looks back at the Juggernaut with a cold, terrifying calm, dismissing the attack as nothing more than a warm-up. And that unfortunately concludes our comic cap for today. With Battle Beast completely unfazed by a blade to the chest, do you think the Juggernaut has any idea what kind of monster he's actually dealing with, or is this just the start of a very short life for him? Let me know your answer in the comments section down below. Be sure to subscribe and press that notification bell for daily comic caps. Until next time, take care, brush your hair, I'll see you when I see you, peace.